When I was in college, I began volunteering with an organization that is really similar to Urban K Life here in St. Louis. The ministry focuses on using an after-school program as a platform for volunteers to disciple under-resourced kids and get to know their families. As I began to develop relationships with these fourth grade African American girls and their families, some of which continue to this day, I began to see firsthand racial profiling, the physical divisions of race within my college town, the cycle of poverty, and many other systemic racial issues that have only been reinforced generation after generation. Simultaneously to these experiences, I was getting my BA in sociology, and I was taking classes like sociology of African Americans, sociology of social problems, sociology of race and ethnicity. And these classes were convicting me. I remember thinking, how am I just now learning what the actual definition of race is, and about microaggressions, and what equality really means, and that brutality still exists, and why does this list go on and on? I think, like most white Americans who grow up in a majority white culture, I had believed for so many years that discrimination was a thing of the past. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Don't get me wrong, as a woman who has a Hispanic father and a white mother, I have seen other issues of ethnic race relations within my family, but this was all different. At the end of one semester, when classes were coming to a close, I went up to my sociology of race and ethnicity professor to thank her for her efforts for the year. And when I approached her, I opened my mouth to speak, but instead I just began to weep. I could barely form words. An accumulation of all that I had been learning in class came crashing into the same reality that I was watching African American families live day in and day out. I was overwhelmed with the devastating reality of some social norms and really angry at myself, knowing that I was a part of the problem. Ultimately, something that really sticks out in my mind is a specific moment of a lecture that was given by the director of the organization I partnered with. He talked about transitioning from pity to compassion to action. He said, pity, this is pity, it's dehumanizing. Pity looks down on others and it doesn't try to understand. It says, I feel bad for you. And we can't live in pity. We should quickly move to compassion. Jesus is compassionate. Our hearts should break like God's does. Compassion is good and doesn't look down upon. But we cannot only live in compassion. We have to quickly move to action, to partnering with people, to taking steps, to speaking out, to actually doing something. So I repent for the years that I too long lived in pity. I'm sorry for waiting too long to take action. I ask for forgiveness for racist thoughts that have crossed my mind or been said out loud. And it is my prayer that I'll continue to be a humble learner, that I will be willing to be taught, and that I would use my privilege that I have as a mixed woman who looks only white and therefore has white privilege. And I will not let the desire to be comfortable dictate my actions. Martin Luther King Jr. says, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So God, may I never be silent again.